The rain hammered down on Lagos as Amara Okonkwo stood at her brother's wedding. Designer suit, ice-cold smile. 400 guests watched as she handed him one document. "Your venue payment bounced," she said. $500,000. "You have 10 minutes to pay, or everyone leaves." His face went white. Who are you?" She leaned in. "I'm your sister, the one you threw out at 17. Called a burden, left to die on the street." She held up her phone. "I own this building. I own your office. I own your debt. For 8 years I built an empire just to watch you beg." He fell to his knees. "But this story doesn't start here. It starts 8 years ago, the day their parents died. The day he smiled at their funeral. The rain hammered down on the Okonkwo family compound in Lagos. 2 coffins, 2 graves. Amara stood alone in her black dress, 17 years old, soaked through. Her older brother Chucks arrived late. Expensive suit, dark sunglasses, checking his phone. He didn't cry, didn't speak, just stood there, disconnected. Amara reached for his hand. She needed someone, anyone. He pulled away, cold, distant. The family lawyer whispered something in his ear. Chuck smiled. At their parents' funeral, he actually smiled. Amara's stomach twisted. Something was very, very wrong. 3 days later, the lawyer's office. Mahogany desk, leather chairs. Amara sat nervously, hands folded. Chucks leaned back, confident. The lawyer cleared his throat. "The business goes to Chukwudi as the eldest son." Amara's breath caught. "What about me?" The lawyer slid papers across the desk. "Your brother has agreed to provide for you." Chucks didn't look at her, didn't acknowledge her. Amara stared at the documents. Her father's signature, her mother's signature. But the ink looked fresh. Too fresh, her hands went cold. Those signatures were made after they died, 1 week later. Chucks called her into the living room. Their parents' photos still on the walls. He stood by the door, arms crossed. "Pack your things. You're leaving today." Amara froze. "What? This is my home. This is my house now. My business. You're just a burden." He threw a suitcase at her feet. "You have 1 hour." Neighbors gathered outside, watching, whispering. Chucks wanted witnesses. Wanted them to see. "Burden!" he screamed from the window. Loud enough for the whole street. "That's all you ever were." Her suitcase tumbled down the concrete steps. Clothes spilled everywhere. Amara fell to her knees, gathering them with shaking hands. Amara stood on the street. 1 suitcase. 17 years old. No money, no family. The gate slammed behind her, final, permanent. She pulled out her phone. Scrolled through contacts, aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends. Every single one was connected to Chucks, to his business, to his version of the story. She couldn't call anyone. The screen blurred. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. The sun set. Streetlights came on. She stood there for 2 hours, frozen. Where do you go when you have nowhere? That night, a stranger pointed her towards St. Mary's Women's Shelter. Night, St. Mary's Shelter. Thin mattress on concrete floor, 30 women in one room. Crying, snoring, praying. Amara couldn't sleep, couldn't stop shaking. A woman next to her whispered, "First night." Amara nodded. "You'll survive," the woman said. "We all do, survive." Amara pulled out her notebook, the only thing she'd grabbed from her room. She stared at the blank page. Survival wasn't enough. She clicked the pen, wrote 1 sentence. "He called me a burden. I'll make him beg." She underlined it once, twice, 3 times. Then she kissed her mother's necklace, the only piece of home she had left. Chucks thought he'd erased her. He had no idea what he'd just created. 6 months later, Amara worked 3 jobs. Market vendor at dawn, selling vegetables in the heat. Waitress at noon, fake smile, aching feet. Night cleaner at midnight, scrubbing floors while the city slept. She finished high school online. Top of her class. Scholarships came. Business degree, university entrance. No one helped her. No one even knew she existed. Her hands were calloused, dark circles carved under her eyes. But her notebook grew thicker. Every property Chucks mentioned on Instagram, she wrote it down. Every restaurant he visited, every building. She was mapping him, studying him. Revenge wasn't emotional anymore. It was strategic, calculated, cold. 2 years later, Amara stood outside a property auction in Accra, 19 years old, nervous. She'd saved every penny for 2 years, every single 1A. Small commercial building came up, run down, broken windows. Nobody wanted it. The auctioneer looked bored. Opening bid, $5,000. Silence. Amara's throat was dry. This was everything she had. If she lost this, she'd be back to zero. She forced the words out. 5,000. More silence. The auctioneer shrugged. Sold. She signed the papers with shaking hands. Her first property, her first piece of power. She didn't celebrate, didn't smile. She researched the location that night. 3 blocks from Chuck's favorite restaurant. At night. 3 blocks from Chuck's favorite restaurant. Not a coincidence. Strategy. 5 years passed like a montage. Amara buying, renovating, selling, buying bigger. Business degree completed. MBA started. She was 23. Net worth $2 million. But it wasn't about the money. It was about the map. Her office wall was covered in pins. Red pins. Each one marking a property she owned. Each property positioned in Chuck's life. His route to work. His gym, his clubs, his business district. She studied him like a scientist. His patterns, his ego, his need to show off. She bought buildings where he'd eventually need them. Waited, watched, 23 years old. 12 commercial properties. He had no idea she was alive. Amara hired a private investigator. Not illegal, just thorough. She needed to know everything about Chuck's life. Photos arrived every week. Chuck's at nightclubs. Chuck's with women. Chuck's in designer suits, spending their parents' money like water. Living off her inheritance. Throwing parties. Posting on Instagram. Living his best life while she'd been bleeding on concrete floors. Then one photo stopped her cold. Chuck's on one knee. Expensive restaurant. Diamond ring. A woman crying with joy, saying yes. He looked happy, genuinely happy. Amara stared at that photo for an hour. He got to be happy. He got joy, love, a future. While she spent 8 years building an empire out of rage. No, not for long. Instagram post. Chuck's and his fiancée Zara, big smiles. Caption, she said yes. Wedding at the Royal Grand Hotel, Lagos's most exclusive venue. Save the date. 400 guests invited. Celebrity photographer. International DJ, the wedding of the year. Chuck's was showing off. Of course he was. Amara smiled. For the first time in months, she smiled. She opened her laptop. Searched. Royal Grand Hotel ownership. Privately held. Family business. Owner looking to retire. She picked up her phone. Called the owner directly. I'd like to make an offer on your hotel. 10% above market value. Cash. I need this closed in 30 days. Silence on the other end. Then, when can you wire the deposit? Perfect. 4 weeks later, Amara signed the papers. She owned the Royal Grand Hotel. $3 million. Her biggest investment. Her most dangerous move. She installed a new manager. Kept the staff exactly the same. Nothing changed on the surface. The hotel operated normally. Bookings continued. Weddings proceeded. Except now she controlled everything. She requested the Okonkwo wedding file. Deposit $50,000. Balance due 1 week before the event. $450,000. Total $500,000. Amara opened her old notebook. That sentence from 8 years ago. Faded ink, but still clear. He called me a burden. I'll make him beg. She traced the words with her finger. Soon, very soon. But Amara wasn't finished. She researched Chuck's business office. 10-year lease. Expires in 2 months. The owner was ready to sell and move to London. She bought it. $1.5 million. Then she went after his business loans. Banks sell debt all the time. It's just paperwork. She bought that too. Her assistant walked into her office. Boss, why are we buying so many properties connected to one person? Amara didn't answer. Some hunts require patience. Some traps take years to build. By her 25th birthday, she controlled 12 pieces of Chukwudi Okonkwo's life. His wedding venue, his office building, his favorite restaurant, the gym, the club, his debt, and he had absolutely no clue. 1 week before the wedding, Amara sat in her office, looked at the venue contract one more time. She picked up her phone, made one call. This is Amara Okonkwo. I own the Royal Grand. Cancel the payment from Chukwudi Okonkwo's account. Pause. Make it look like insufficient funds. Bounce check. No, don't notify him yet. Let him find out. Organically. She hung up, smiled. 24 hours before the wedding, Chuck's phone rang. Venue coordinator. Nervous voice. Mr. Okonkwo, we have a serious problem. Your final payment bounced, Chucks laughed. Impossible. Check again. Sir, we've checked 3 times. Insufficient funds. We need $500,000 by tomorrow, or what? Or we cancel the wedding. Chucks called his bank, screaming, "How is there no money? I have millions in that account." Sir, the account is frozen. Technical error. We're working to resolve it. How long? 5 business days. 5 days. The wedding was tomorrow. He called his accountant. Move money from the business account. Now, long pause. Sir, that account is also frozen. Same error. I don't understand how. Chucks's hands started shaking. 400 guests confirmed. Catering ordered. Photographer flying in from South Africa. DJ flowers. Everything paid except the venue. The most expensive piece. Zara walked in. His bride. Chucks, what's wrong? You look. Nothing. It's nothing. Just a bank error. But sweat dripped down his face. He was losing control. Wedding day. Royal Grand Hotel. Morning light streamed through massive windows. Decorations were perfect. White roses everywhere. Gold accents. Expensive. Beautiful. Guests started arriving in designer outfits. Chucks wore his tuxedo. Forced a smile. Kept calling the bank. Voicemail. Every time, voicemail. The venue manager kept watching him. Nervous, checking her phone. Whispering to staff. Guests took photos. Posted on Instagram. Most beautiful venue. Wedding goals. Can't wait for the ceremony. Chucks's smile was a mask. Panic underneath. The manager approached. Mr. Okonkwo, the owner has arrived. She wants to meet you before the ceremony. I'm busy. She insists, sir. Right now, his stomach dropped. The ballroom doors opened. A woman walked in. Designer suit. Heels clicking on marble. Confident, powerful. Hair pulled back. Professional. Every head turned to look. Chucks was talking to guests. Sipping champagne. Laughing too loud. He glanced over casually. The glass slipped from his hand. Shattered on the floor. 400 guests went silent. Watching the glass scatter across marble. Watching Chucks's face drain of all color. Watching the woman approach. Zara touched his arm. Chucks, who is she? He couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. That face. Impossible. She was supposed to be nothing. Supposed to be erased. Supposed to be dead. The woman stopped 3 feet away. Smiled, ice cold. Hello. Chucks, it's been a while. 8 years. Actually, her voice was calm, controlled, like she was discussing the weather. His mouth opened. No words came out. His brain was screaming, no, this can't be real. She's supposed to be gone, homeless, forgotten. Amara? He whispered. She tilted her head. You remember? I'm touched. I thought I was just... What did you call me? A burden? Guests pulled out phones. Started recording. This wasn't part of the program. This was drama. This was content. Zara stepped forward, confused, angry. Chucks, who is this? He couldn't answer. His legs felt weak. Amara looked around the ballroom. Beautiful venue, isn't it? I'm glad you chose it. She paused. Because I own it. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Chucks shook his head. Denial. No, that's impossible. You're nobody. Nobody? Amara smiled wider. I'm Amara Okonkwo, CEO of Okonkwo Property Group. Net worth $8 million. She let that sink in. And I'm your landlord, whispers exploded. Phones recording from every angle. This was going viral in real time. Zara looked between them. Chucks, is she really your sister? He nodded weakly. Once. Why didn't you tell me you had a sister? Amara answered for him. Because he threw me out. I was 17. Our parents had just died. He called me a burden. She looked directly at him. Made me homeless. In front of all the neighbors, Zara's hand went to her mouth. Guests murmured. Judgment. Shock. Amara pulled out a tablet. Showed him the screen. Your venue payment. $500,000. It bounced. She looked at her watch. You have 10 minutes to pay in full. Cash or wire transfer. Or this wedding is cancelled. Chucks grabbed a chair to steady himself. There's been a mistake. The bank, no mistake. Insufficient funds. I verified it personally. She looked at the crowd. 400 faces. 400 phones. 10 minutes. Or every single guest here can leave. Your choice, dead silence. Even the DJ had stopped the music. Staff stood frozen. Guests stared. Zara grabbed his arm. Chucks, just pay it, please. Everyone's watching. I can't. The words burst out. The accounts are frozen. I don't have... Then, Amara said quietly, you have a problem. Oh, and Chucks. Amara's voice was silk over steel. I didn't just buy this venue. She swiped through the tablet. Images appeared, documents, titles. I own 12 properties connected to your life. Your office building, lease expires tomorrow. The restaurant where you proposed to Zara, I own it. Your gym, the club you party at every Friday. That luxury apartment building you've been eyeing for your new office? She looked up. Met his eyes, mine, all of it. And your business loans, the debt you took out last year to expand. I bought that too. The bank sold it to me 3 months ago. Chucks's knees buckled. He grabbed the table. This wasn't possible. This wasn't... I don't just own buildings, brother. I own you. Zara pulled away from him, stared. Chucks, is she really your sister? He nodded. Barely. You threw her out. At 17? Right after your parents died. Amara spoke gently now. To Zara, not him. I had nowhere to go. No money, no family. I lived in a shelter. Worked 3 jobs? He erased me from the family completely. That's not... Chucks tried to speak. It wasn't what? Amara's voice cut like glass. True? You threw my suitcase down the stairs. You screamed burden loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. You wanted witnesses then, remember? Guests murmured. Judgment rippled through the room. Phones captured everything. Wedding Exposed was already trending. Zara's mascara started running. You never told me you had a sister. Started running. You never told me you had a sister. Because he wanted to forget I existed. Amara said. Amara addressed the crowd now. Calm. Controlled. Our parents left us equal shares of the family business. Equal. I have the original will. She pulled up another document on the tablet. These are the signatures on the inheritance papers, dated 3 days after they died. But forensic analysis shows the ink is wrong. The pressure points are wrong. She held up the tablet for everyone to see. He forged the documents. Took everything. Then threw me out so I couldn't contest it. Guests were recording, posting, sharing. The internet was watching now. Thousands of viewers. Tens of thousands. Chucks tried to speak. You don't understand the pressure I was under. The pressure you were under? Amara's voice stayed level. Deadly. You spent 8 years spending our parents' money. I spent 8 years bleeding to survive. Amara pulled out a contract. Thick, legal, official. She placed it on the table in front of him. Here's the deal. You apologize. Right here. Right now. In front of everyone. Then you sign this. Chucks grabbed the papers. His hand shook. He read the first page. 50% partnership. You want half my business? Our business. The one you stole from me. You're insane. I'll never... Then your wedding is cancelled. Her voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. Right now. I'll personally refund every guest. You can explain to 400 people why they flew here for nothing. Zara grabbed his arm. Chucks, just apologize, please. Everyone's recording this. But his ego was a wall. Crumbling, but still standing. I built that business. I grew it. Amara checked her watch. 9 minutes left. Chucks looked around the ballroom. 400 faces. 400 phones pointed at him. His perfect day. His reputation. His carefully built image as the successful son. All of it collapsing. Live. In real time, his legs gave out. He fell to his knees. On the marble floor. In his tuxedo. In front of everyone he'd ever wanted to impress. I'm sorry. His voice cracked. Amara, I'm so sorry. Guests gasped. Phone zoomed in. This was the moment. The viral clip. The destruction. Tears ran down his face. Real tears. Not manipulation this time. Not performance. He was broken. Actually broken. I was wrong. So wrong. I took everything from you. I called you a burden because I was scared. Scared of sharing. Scared of not being enough. Amara stood above him. Expressionless. She dreamed of this moment for 8 years. Planned it. Built an empire for it. Sacrificed everything for it, and now, nothing. She felt nothing. The crowd was satisfied. Justice served. Villain on his knees. Phones recording every second. This would be everywhere by tomorrow. Headlines, think pieces, memes. But inside, empty, hollow, like winning a game nobody was playing. She looked at Zara. The bride was crying. Mascara running. Wedding day destroyed. 400 witnesses to her fiancé's humiliation. This was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, and Amara had made it a nightmare. Zara's terrified face. Tears streaming, lost, confused, Amara blinked, and for just a second, Zara's face became her own. 17, terrified, standing on the street with a broken suitcase, Amara's vision blurred. Zara's crying face overlapped with her own memory. That day, suitcase on the street, neighbors watching, powerless, humiliated, alone. She blinked hard. Zara was still there. Different woman, different moment, but the same terror, the same public shame. Amara had promised herself she'd never be powerless again. Never be the victim, never be the one crying while people watched, but now she was the one with the power, and she was using it to make someone else cry. Someone who'd done nothing wrong. Someone innocent. Her hand holding the contract trembled. Just slightly, but enough. The crowd was yelling, "Make him sign! He deserves it! Take everything!" They wanted blood, wanted destruction, wanted the show to continue. Was this justice? Or was this just cruelty? 400 phones, all pointed at her, waiting for her next move. The internet watching, comments pouring in, shares exploding. "Destroy him!" Someone yelled from the back. Others joined in. "Make him pay. He deserves worse. Finish him!" The crowd wanted a villain punished, wanted to watch someone powerful break someone powerless, wanted entertainment, content, a story to share. They didn't know her pain, didn't know her story. They just wanted the ending they came for. Amara looked at the contract in her hand. Her ticket to everything. 50%. Legal ownership, financial justice, lifelong revenge. Then she looked at Chuck's. On his knees, broken, crying, she'd won. He saw her now. He'd acknowledged her, said her name, admitted what he did, in front of everyone. So why did this feel like drowning? Amara's mind raced. 8 years. 8 years of bleeding for this moment. 3 jobs, shelters, sleeping on buses, studying at midnight, building an empire brick by brick for this. For him on his knees. She looked at the contract again. If she made him sign it here, like this, she'd be bound to him forever. Co-owners, business partners, meetings, decisions, phone calls, emails. Meetings, decisions, phone calls, emails. Tied to her abuser for the rest of her life. That wasn't freedom. That was just a different cage. Her assistant's voice echoed in her mind from last week. "Boss, why are you doing this? You're already successful. Why do you need his business?" She'd snapped at him then. But maybe he was right. Maybe she'd been so focused on revenge, she'd forgotten the actual point, freedom. That's what she wanted at 17. Not power over him, just freedom. What had she given up for this? 8 years of her life. Every moment spent thinking about him. Every property purchased to trap him. Every night checking his social media instead of building her own happiness. No friends, no relationships, no joy, just the hunt, just the plan. She'd built an empire. But for what? To stand here and make him cry. 400 people saw her now. The whole world would see her tomorrow. She'd proven she wasn't a burden, proven she was powerful, proven she was smarter, stronger, better than him. But was she free? Or had she just spent 8 years in a different kind of prison, one she built herself, brick by brick, out of rage? The contract felt heavy in her hand. 8 years of work, 12 properties, $3 million. All leading to this signature, and it felt like a trap. Amara looked at the phones again. 400 recording devices. Tomorrow, she'd be famous, viral, millions of views. Sister destroys brother's wedding. Cold-blooded. Revenge. Empire builder's ultimate payback, they'd call her. Savage, ruthless, badass, queen, icon, but also bitter, cruel, heartless, unable to forgive. She'd be defined by this moment forever. Every article, every video, every reaction. This would be her story, her identity. The woman who ruined a wedding for revenge, just like Chuck's was defined by what he did to her 8 years ago. The man who threw out his sister. They were both prisoners of that day, still, after 8 years, still trapped unless she chose something different. Unless she took control of her own story. Her story, not his. Amara took a deep breath. The ballroom was silent, except for breathing, waiting. 400 people holding their breath. She looked at the contract in her hand, her weapon. Her chain, slowly, deliberately, she tore it in half. The sound echoed through the ballroom, sharp, final. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones zoomed in. What is she doing? Chucks looked up, confused. What are you? She tore it again, quarters, then eighths. Let the pieces fall like snow around him. I'm choosing myself, she said quietly. The crowd was stunned. This wasn't the ending they wanted. Where was the destruction? Where was the revenge porn? Where was the savage queen taking everything? Amara's voice was steady now, clear, strong. For 8 years, I wanted you to see me, to admit what you did. She looked down at Chucks, still on his knees. You just did. In front of 400 people. I don't need your business. I built my own from nothing. While you spent money you stole, I earned everything I have. She looked at Zara, the bride, still crying. I'm sorry this happened on your wedding day, truly. The payment will clear in 10 minutes. The venue manager will confirm it. Your wedding can continue. Zara's eyes widened. You're letting us... I'm letting me go, Amara said. That business was never mine to take. My parents left it to both of us, yes. But I don't want it anymore. Not like this. She looked at Chucks one last time. I don't need your apology. I needed you to know you were wrong. Chucks was still on his knees, looking up at her, broken, confused. I don't understand. You could take everything. Why? Because I'm not you, Amara said simply. She stepped back, created distance. You took from me because you could, because you were scared of sharing, scared of not being enough. I'm not interested in becoming what hurt me. That's not strength. That's just becoming you. She looked at him, really looked, for the first time in 8 years, without hate clouding her vision. He wasn't a monster. He was just a small, selfish man, weak, pathetic, not worth the 8 years she'd spent hating him. You'll never be in my life again. That's my revenge. Not controlling you, just being done with you. You're not worth my hatred anymore. You're nothing to me now. And she meant it. Amara turned toward the exit. Her heels clicked on marble. Sharp, clear, final. Behind her, Chucks was still crying. Zara was comforting him. Guests were confused. Phones still recording, but the narrative had flipped. She wasn't the villain anymore. She was something else. Something they didn't have a word for. Someone in the crowd started clapping, slowly, then another. Then more, not for revenge, for restraint, for mercy, for choosing herself over destruction. Amara didn't acknowledge it. Didn't turn around. Didn't wave. She just walked. Every step felt lighter. The weight she'd carried for 8 years was crumbling, dissolving. With each click of her heels, more of it fell away. She paused at the door. Spoke loud enough to carry, but didn't turn around. By the way, I'm selling 12 properties next month. Your office lease transfers to the new owner. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Then she walked into the sunlight. Outside the Royal Grand Hotel, Amara stopped, took her first real breath in 8 years. The air smelled different, clean, light, like something burning had finally been put out. Her phone buzzed, and buzzed, and buzzed. Notifications exploding, videos going viral, comments pouring in, the internet reacting in real time. 10 million people would see this by tonight. Think pieces by morning, podcasts, debates. Everyone would have an opinion about what she should have done. She looked at the screen, turned it off, completely off. For the first time in 8 years, her driver waited by the car. Opened the door. Where to, ma'am? Amara smiled. Actually smiled. A real smile. Not the cold one she'd practiced. Not the ice she'd worn like armor. Surprise me, she said. As the car pulled away, she looked back once. Just once. The Royal Grand Hotel, her battlefield. Her prison not anymore that evening. Amara sat on a beach in Accra, barefoot, watching the sunset. Phone still off. No tracking, no planning, no checking what Chucks was doing, just existing. A woman approached, mid-30s, hesitant. Are you Amara Okonkwo? Amara tensed. Here it comes. Judgment, questions, opinions. I saw the video, the woman said. It's everywhere. 10 million views already, Amara nodded. Said nothing. I was planning revenge on my sister. For 3 years, she stole money from me. Lied to our family. I've been saving to destroy her business. The woman's eyes filled with tears. But watching you tear that contract. You showed me something I didn't know was possible. You showed me another way. She smiled. You saved my life today. Thank you. Then she walked away. Didn't wait for a response. Amara sat there, crying. Good tears this time. Healing tears. Her choice mattered. Not just for her, for others too. Back at the wedding, the ceremony happened. Vows were exchanged, rings, kiss, applause. The DJ played music. People danced. Cake was cut. But everything felt hollow, wrong. Like watching a movie of someone else's wedding. Chucks went through the motions, smiled for photos, thanked guests, but he kept seeing it. His sister's face, the contract tearing, her words, "You're nothing to me now." At the reception, Zara pulled him aside. Her eyes were different, distant, cold. You have a sister. You threw her out when she was 17. You never told me. I was ashamed, he admitted finally. I did something horrible. And I built my entire life pretending it didn't happen. Zara's voice was quiet. She could have destroyed us. She had the power. She had the contract. She had everything. Pause. But she chose mercy. Another pause. You chose cruelty. She chose mercy. That's the difference between you. Chucks watched his new wife walk back to the reception. Realized his sister had won after all. Not by taking everything. By showing him and everyone else exactly who he was. He'd have to live with that truth forever. 1 month later, Amara sat in her office. Smaller now. She'd sold 3 properties. Downsized, simplified. She didn't need an empire anymore. Didn't need 12 buildings to prove she wasn't a burden. Her assistant brought coffee. Boss, you sure about this? Selling off assets? The market's strong right now, she nodded. I built this empire to prove something. I'm done proving things, so what now? Amara looked out the window. Lagos stretched below. Millions of people. Millions of stories. Now I build something I actually want, not something fueled by pain. She opened her laptop. Searched. Non-profit organizations for homeless youth. Housing programs for vulnerable teens. Educational support services. Time to turn her pain into purpose. Real purpose. 3 months later. Amara stood in front of a new building. Not a hotel. Not an office. A residential facility, clean, safe, warm. The sign above the door, Okonkwo Youth Foundation. Housing, education, job training. The first resident arrived that afternoon. A 17-year-old girl. Kicked out by her stepfather. Nowhere to go. One small backpack. Terrified eyes. Amara sat with her personally. Not as CEO, as someone who understood. You're safe here, Amara said quietly. And you're not a burden. You're not what happened to you. You're what you choose next, the girl cried. Amara held her. And for the first time since her parents died, Amara felt like she was home. Truly home, not in a building she owned, but in a purpose she believed in. 6 months after the wedding, a letter arrived at Amara's office, handwritten. She recognized the handwriting immediately. Chucks! She almost threw it away, stared at it for 5 minutes. But something made her open it. Amara, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I'm not asking for it. I just want you to know I see what you built. Not just the money, the foundation, the lives you've changed. You became everything I should have been. I'm sorry. I'll always be sorry. I hope one day you can find peace. Chucks. Amara read it twice, felt nothing, no anger, no satisfaction, no sadness, just neutrality. Satisfaction, no sadness, just neutrality. He was just a person now. Not a villain, not a monster, not her responsibility. Just someone who made terrible choices and had to live with them. She filed the letter away. Didn't respond. That chapter was closed. She had new chapters to write. 1 year after the wedding, Amara stood at her parents' graves for the first time since the funeral. She'd been avoiding it. Too painful. Too many memories, but today felt right. She placed fresh flowers. White roses. Her mother's favorite. Knelt on the grass. Spoke out loud. Mama, Papa, I survived. I didn't just survive. I built something good. Something you'd be proud of. Tears came. Not bitter tears anymore. Healing tears. Chucks called me a burden. But you never did. You saw me. You loved me. I forgot that for a long time. I let his words become louder than yours. She touched her mother's necklace. Still wore it every day. I'm remembering now. I'm okay now. I'm helping kids like me. Kids who were told they're burdens. I'm showing them they're not. The wind picked up, warm, gentle. I'm free now. Finally free. Sunset. Amara stood on her apartment balcony. Not a mansion. Just a comfortable space overlooking the ocean. Lagos glittered in the distance. Simple, peaceful, hers. Her phone rang. The foundation. We have another intake. 16-year-old boy. Family threw him out this morning. He's at the police station, scared. Amara grabbed her keys. I'm on my way. She drove through the city, past the Royal Grand Hotel without even glancing at it. It was just a building now, not a battlefield, not a symbol, just glass and concrete. She pulled up to the foundation. A teenage boy waited outside, lost, scared, holding a torn garbage bag with his clothes. Amara got out of her car, walked up to him. He looked up, terrified. She smiled, genuine, warm, extended her hand. Welcome home, she said. You're not a burden. You're not what happened to you. You're a beginning. The boy stared at her hand, hesitated, then took it, and Amara knew, really knew she'd finally broken the cycle. Not just for herself, for everyone who came after. The burden Chucks threw away had become the foundation others stood on. That was the real revenge. Not destruction, legacy. Not destruction, legacy.